I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, December 1st, 2025 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call? Yeah, Commissioner Healy. Looks like.
10 present, 2 absent.
10 present, 2 absent. Please note that Commissioner Shea and Commissioner Mankins are excused from tonight's meeting. Commissioner Walker, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll move on to any public comment on any item on tonight's agenda. If anyone would like to come forward, state your name and the item number that you would like to speak on. Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes for the September 17th regular meeting. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second to approve the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. We do not have any items not addressed on tonight's agenda, so we'll go to the Chief Executive's report. First, Commissioner Mankins is gone today because he is coaching the Butte High golf team in the state tournament that's being held here in Butte down at the Country Club. So we want to wish Commissioner Mankins and the Butte High Bulldogs luck this weekend, as well as the Butte Central Maroons. I'm not positive where they are golfing this week, but they're also in action for their state meet as well. So we want to wish all of them the best of luck this weekend. Just other things going on in the community next week. Montana Tech is hosting the Critical Minerals and Energy Summit. It's going to go on next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's going to be experts and people in the industry from all over the nation in government and also in higher education that will be up there, kind of talking about the future of what critical minerals and rare earth minerals and the development of energy and the needs are around those critical minerals and the energy needed for data centers and all the other things that are going on. So if you have an opportunity, I think it'd be worthwhile for people to be up there to do that. So with that, I'm going to close out my Chief Executive's report and move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and or presentations. We do have one public hearing. It's communication number 2025-466, Kelly Hazlett, TBID Executive Secretary, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on September 24, 2025 regarding the BSB Tourism Business Improvement District, work plan and budget and schedule of the public hearing, which we're having tonight. Could we have Ms. Hazlett come forward, please? Okay, hold on one second because I forgot to say one thing. County Attorney Ennerth, do we have proof of publication?
Yes, Ms. Hazlett provided proof of publication at our last meeting.
Thank you, County Attorney Ennerth. Welcome, Ms. Hazlett.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher.
Okay, and so today, after the presentation last week, we're scheduling the public hearing. Do you have anything to add, or do commissioners have any questions prior to the public hearing here?
I know Commissioner Dan Callahan brought up some concerns. I do want to let you know about the mathematics of the rooms. I do offer grant reading opportunities, and open trainings to individuals if they're interested in the grant and want to figure out how to calculate that. My door is also open during the grant cycle, so I just wanted to make sure the commissioner knew that those were being offered to the community.
Thank you, Ms. Hazlett. Commissioner Callahan?
Thank you, Chief Executive. Well, thank you for that. Some people just don't know how to figure, they got an event going on, and one of the questions is, how many heads will you put in beds, and they just don't know how to figure that out. So thank you for that information. We can pass it on to those folks, and hopefully we can help them get that figured out.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you.
Are there any questions of commissioners for Ms. Hazlett before we open the public hearing? I'm squeaking here. All right. Okay, I will open the public hearing. First call for proponents. Second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. Next, I'll move to opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. I'll close the public hearing. Thank you for being here. Next, we'll move on to the Section 2 consent agenda, A 1 through 4 and B 1 through, I should always have this ready, and I don't. 13. And B 1 through 13. Do we have any friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Healy.
Thank you. I want to segregate number 5, communication number 2025-475.
That's item number 5, communication number 2025-475. Are there any other friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'd like to segregate number 3, 25-373.
That's item number 3, communication number 2025-473. Are there any other friendly amendments or segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I make a motion that we approve Section 2, the consent agenda, A, the committee reports 1 through 4, B, the communications 1 through 13, with the exclusion of number 3, 25-373, and number 5, 25-475.
Second, but just a quick clarification, it's communication number 2025-473, not 373.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Why did I write 3? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to item number 3, communication number 2025-473, J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to respond to the State of Montana Department of Corrections request for information on possible locating and building the state's women's prison in Butte. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I just wanted to segregate this communication to give you the opportunity to talk about what your path moving forward would be, and to really just allow any of the commissioners to have any input or questions that they might have, just to start that open dialogue up. I have received a few phone calls from my constituents, and it's always good to get, because they have you look at other avenues and what maybe you would have not seen had they not called. So I do appreciate people reaching out and asking questions. So I would just open it up to the body.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. I'll weigh in on this. So the reason I put this communication on here was because the state of Montana put out an RFI. I haven't really seen that in the past to communities about if they want to participate in the building of a prison or correctional facility in the past. So, and they sent it out specifically to a number of communities, I think hoping to get a response. So I wanted to bring it to this body so that you guys could weigh in whether you wanted to do that, because I didn't want to make the decision that, no, we're not going to respond if it's this body's direction to respond to this RFI. It's asking about what our workforce is, demographics, all of those type of things that take some work. And as I probably most of you saw in the paper, it kind of sent us our homework to do for something that they really were interested in locating here. And so I had some concerns with that. In the paper, it was quoted as well as I hadn't heard anybody, reach out to me about the possibility of building a prison here and positively on that side. I did receive a couple phone calls that of people that support the prison being built in Butte, but still the majority of responses that I've had within the community have been that they're not really very optimistic or like the aspect of a women's prison being located in Butte. So with that, I'll open it up to commissioners to maybe have a discussion here, and then we'll move forward with the motion. Is there any? Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I guess the only comment that I would have is that I have looked at the RFP or the RFI, and I think it's just important that this community stick to the facts when we respond.
Yes.
And just give the facts of what the questions are and try to not be as biased as we could be, but just stick to the facts to it, because they really do answer the questions when you answer it that way.
I would agree with you, and that was kind of the intent of bringing this forward, because it does put requests on staff to do this, and we would want to do it thoroughly in response to this, sending this in the request for information packet. Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I guess I feel the same way. I don't have any problem with us responding to this with the facts. I would say that, of all the phone calls and emails that I've gotten, I have not received one single response from somebody who is interested in having this in our community. This would be in District 5. Most of the people affected would be my constituents, at least directly impacted by the location. Nobody, it seems like there's very little appetite to have this in our community, but I think it's reasonable for us to respond with facts, about workforce and whatnot that's in the RFI.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So do we look bad if we don't respond? I mean, I feel like if we're responding, then it's something we want, or we're just responding because it's the nice thing to do.
Commissioner O'Neill, as I said, I don't think I've ever had a request for such a, corrections facility or anything, a request for information. I think a lot of times these go to private companies. I know we have a representative from CCCS, and that I think that they respond to requests for information many times, but I haven't seen too many where there have been requests directed at the communities, and it seems to me that they are requesting specifically on specific communities that they're looking to possibly locate at. Our response from us doesn't mean that they think that we're proactively looking to locate it. I don't know. I don't know if that's it, but they didn't put it out to all the other communities in the state. I think other communities could, but they sent these specifically to, I believe, 4 or 5 communities for us to respond. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I guess my approach on that would be is I would want the state to respond to any questions that they have about Butte, saying Butte answered it this way, rather than letting them fill in the blanks of Butte never responded, so we're going to assume that maybe they didn't have any issues or any concerns with it because they didn't even respond. Whereas if we respond, they have our answers to show that we at least care enough to fill out the RFI. But
good. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. With that being said, obviously we had people come here presenting that one night after it was, it's their land, if you will. It was already a big thing in the paper. The head chief guy, whatever, he was here kind of promoting how great it would be and so on and so forth. So that's what leaves the community thinking that, that there's a possibility that this could happen. it is their land, correct? I mean, so they could possibly do that, but I just want to make sure that we're out in front of it. Then, you know, the community speaks on a lot of stuff. Look, we got 2 gas stations we didn't get here. We couldn't put got a guy who couldn't put a solar farm in. I hope we highly speak if we don't want a women's prison here as well. I mean, it's kind of the same format, if you will. Obviously, we got to respond. That's fine, but I hope on the other back end of that, we realize that the community is, I mean, that's a big topic. Nobody wants the women's prison to come to Butte, Montana. So let's hope.
So
Yeah.
Commissioner O'Neill, I will respond to that Director Gookin did come here and promoted the positive aspects of what could happen if they built here in Butte. With that, they've been pretty non-communicative with us since then. And, you know, they promoted that Highlands College would be moved up to the North Campus. And they put budget authority in this last year's budget, but they didn't put any money into that. And I've talked to the representatives at Highlands College and up at Montana Tech, and they don't know where anything's at. And it worries me a little bit that if we send in response to because the questions are specific to what they want to hear, you know, the workforce and different things like that. I'm concerned more about Highlands College. I could almost be more supportive if I knew that the money was set aside for Highlands College to be moved up to Montana Tech, and that was there. It was solidified there. But I haven't heard any of those commitments that there's any money there. And the fact that the Department of Corrections has not come back and had any communication with us since that day that they walked in here, other than sending out an RFI now, it concerns me. And so we will do what this body wants to do. We'll respond to the RFI, but I just wanted to make sure that we had a conversation up here, knowing that as we respond with an RFI, they haven't communicated with us, but they're requesting us to communicate with them. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I just think, you know, this is just kind of the footwork just to keep our foot in the door. I've had several emails and people call me, and they're basing it on they don't want a prison in our community. You know, once I explained to them what Mr. Cookin explained to the council, they had a completely different opinion. They weren't sure that that wasn't what they wanted anymore. The comment that I saw on the news, there's $250 million put aside for this project. And to me, to turn around and shut the door on $250 million for economic development is probably a wrong thing to do. I mean, at least if we keep our foot in the door, down the road, if we don't want it, we don't want it. But to turn around and say we don't want it now before we even have those answers, you know, Highlands College could have a whole completely brand new college. Anytime it's a state project like that, that's all union Davis-Bacon jobs. I mean, the economic impact on our community would be huge. And once you tell people that kind of stuff, then they see it in a different light. You know, I think a lot of the comments that I got were people that didn't know the facts. You know, you yourself that night said you had called the mayor from Billings to see what negative impact he said, and he said he didn't see any. So those are things that the public needs to hear, so then they can base their opinion on the facts, like Mr. Morgan said. You know, so that's my thought, is at least send them a letter showing that we're willing to look into what it does for us, and we can weigh in down the road and say, you know, whether we want it or we don't.
Commissioner Callahan, you're correct in some of your comments. The one thing about the $250 million that was put into corrections, that cannot go into Ochi or Highlands College or Montana Tech. It's specific to Department of Corrections. So that part of it, they would have to direct money into higher education, the college system, if that was to happen. That's the thing that concerns me more than anything. Highlands College, for me, right now, is a critical part. Every business that comes to us anymore talks to us about what is the workforce development for our community, what can Highlands College help create programming that can train people for whatever reason that they have. Also Montana Tech. The thing that I would be most remiss is if we said yes, and I'm not saying we should say no and not respond to this, but if we say yes to this and then they acquire Highlands College and Highlands College goes away, because that's a huge asset for our community. Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you. The way I understood it was this money's there for that project. And if they have to displace Highlands College, they could use that rather than build a new prison.
$250 million went into the Department of Corrections, and portions of this goes to the prisons and also other facilities, but it's specific to the Department of Corrections. Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan.
And that's when we could back out and say, yeah, no, we're not interested, if that was the case.
Commissioner Callahan, though, that's the one thing about this. I don't think we're going to have the ability to just back out, because we're not going to have the say. They own the land. Truthfully, if they wanted to come to us right now and say we're building out there, of course the higher education, OCHI, would have to just say whether they were going to sell Highlands College to them or not. But we really, they have the ability, even our zoning doesn't prohibit them from locating wherever they want to go, because they own that land themselves out there. So, I mean, as a community, we can stand up and say we don't like it, but truthfully, if they wanted to come, they could come. Commissioner Healy and then Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you. I'm hearing a lot of the, negative on what we're not letting come in, but all you have to do is drive down Harrison Avenue to see that we are bringing in a lot of businesses. There is a lot of positive things happening. So, I think we do need to listen to the community and to see what they want. And they see a lot of changes happening and a lot of positive changes and a lot of businesses coming in. So I don't think it's necessarily negative if they don't. We still have businesses coming in. Amazon. That was just in the paper. That's a huge thing right there. So I just want to say there's a lot of positive things happening, not just, we're not letting anybody come in,
Thank you, Commissioner Healy. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I, for one, have not read the RFI. I understand after visiting Russ, it's on the Department of Corrections site. I think we're using a lot of we and us here. And we and us is the community itself. And I've heard both sides of the story. People that say, I think Commissioner Callahan hit the nail on the head, you're hearing both sides. I think it's better that we maybe be given an opportunity to read the RFI and then decide if we want to respond or not. I'm not comfortable right now making a decision either way, because I don't know what the RFI asks. I mean, you guys do it. You can make a decision, but I think we've got to sit back, look at this, and then answer. I think we got to go ahead and answer it, but I think we got to do it in a joint effort. I mean, I don't think that you as chief executive should answer your opinions. I don't think chairman should answer his opinions. I think we as a group got to answer what our constituents want. And sometimes I don't agree with my constituents, but that's what I have to do as a commissioner. And I'd like to read the RFI. I'd like to make a decision on what kind of questions I'd like to put NA after, what kind of questions I'd like to put an answer after, And I think that this is a little bait, that the Department of Corrections is putting out. And I think, you and Dan Callahan, Commissioner Callahan, are both correct. But I think the money is at the governor's hands. And as we know from Superfund and everything else, if they decide to do something, there'll be a transfer of funds to make it happen. So I think we've got to proceed with caution on this. I would really like to, without putting this in a motion, to hold this in abeyance and let us get a little better handle on what the RFI is,
Commissioner Fisher, I appreciate and I understand exactly what you're saying. The challenge we have is we just received it. The first meeting that we could put this on for us to make a decision is today, and it's due by the 15th. So to hold it in abeyance, bring it back, and have a joint group on, our staff can respond to this, and we can go through and we can respond to the questions that they have, and just respond to the data that they ask for on that, and that's how we will. We won't slant it one way or the other. We'll just do it with the facts that we have. But I just want this body to decide: do we want to respond to it, because it's a unique situation that they're requesting for information to us when they're actually are the ones kind of putting the fishing pole out there and seeing where it's at. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. And I do agree, but, we're hearing the same thing about Seabury, and you guys went out there and come back with a really flashy report about how the site was out there and everything. And I've been getting a lot of emails from people saying the opposite. I don't know nothing about it. I've never been to either facility. So, these are kind of things that I really think that we got to visit. And you used the word right there in that comment you made to me, our staff. Our staff. What about our staff? What about my people? What about his people? They're not our staff. Who's the staff that's going to make the decision to answer these questions without us reviewing the answers? I don't want to see you send off answers to questions without saying, hey, the Butte-Silver Council Commissioner just answered yes to this, and they said maybe to this and no to this, and then all of a sudden come back to me and say, why'd you guys do that? I didn't have no say.
Commissioner Fisher, the Butte-Silver Bow employees work for Butte-Silver Bow, like you're the commissioner here, so they work for us and they would be database questions that we'd fill in. They're not going to be opinion-based at any level that we would fill in. It would strictly be based on data. And so that's how we would answer the questions. They're not going to be opinion by, when I say our staff, it is our staff. They work for Butte-Silver Bow. You guys are commissioners of Butte-Silver Bow. So when I say it is our staff that would be doing it. It would be, the departments that pull the data of the demographics within Butte-Silver Bow and those type of things. So there would be no opinion put into any of that. So I can assure you that that's how we're going to answer these. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Sheriff Lester, I see you standing back there, and if it would be okay with the council, I kind of just want to hear maybe a little bit of your input on this. I feel like you're the closest person as far as Butte-Silver Bow representatives to a situation like this, dealing with the jail, being the sheriff. Could you just kind of give us your thoughts?
Commissioner Thatcher, Sheriff Lester.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Thatcher, for seeing me back there. I probably should have been a little bit more to the right, I guess. Yeah, there's some thoughts I have. The biggest thought that I have is it's going to make staffing at our detention center that much more difficult. Whatever rate they're paying now is more than we currently pay, and that's one of the things we fight with when we're talking about hiring staff at the detention center. So we see people driving to Deer Lodge instead of working here. And we have the selling point where we try to stay relatively close to them to make that, they're working 2 more hours a shift if they're driving to Deer Lodge. So, but if they do move it here, they'll pay the same wage, I assume, that they're paying at Deer Lodge, which will be higher and will be more difficult for me to staff the detention center or whoever the sheriff is. I don't know when that place will be built. That's one concern that I have, just from being selfish looking down the road. I think you could see people who are associated with inmates move to this area to be close to their family and their friends. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you're going to see an influx of some population that probably isn't going to have housing right away. You're going to see workers, probably 100. And I don't know how many professionals there'll be, probably less than 50, I would think. And the rest will be detention staff. But they'll need housing too. So those are issues that we face currently with the housing. So those are things that I think could be issues that we could see. I'm not prepared to say one way or another whether I'd support it or not. But I think there are some concerns from the law enforcement standpoint.
Thank you, Sheriff Lester. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Well, my comment to the wage thing, maybe we need to start paying our people a better wage so we don't lose them to the Deer Lodge. Our people are watching the same kind of people they're watching, and if we're losing them to Deer Lodge, we probably ought to work on getting them a better wage. And I know that's something we can all work on. My other comment would be on the jobs. Mr. Cookin said there's going to be 100 full-time jobs, state jobs that pay good benefits. You know, they're good wages, as Mr. Lester said. And then there's plenty of spin-off jobs. So to turn around and say we're getting all kinds of jobs out on Harrison Avenue, those are all fast food jobs. Communities can't survive on fast food jobs. You know, we got to look at this at all angles. Obviously, there's negative that comes with everything, but we got to weigh out the whole picture. My recommendation, if we're not paying our people at the jail enough money and we're losing them to Deer Lodge, we probably ought to work on giving them a little better wage too. Those are things we can work on also, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Any other? Commissioner O'Leary, and then Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. I guess a couple comments. You know, I know that the primary benefit of this to the community would be jobs. You know, the prison is not going to pay property taxes on this build out. So we're really talking about a trade-off between jobs and the impacts to the community that come from having a prison in your community. So that's one thing. The other thing is we did send a letter to the Department of Corrections, and they never responded to us with any answers to what we asked of them. So I am also concerned about their unwillingness to communicate with us, even just simply saying we're working on it. So that's a concern. I will echo your concerns, the Chief Executive's concerns about the loss of Highlands College. If that's even on the table, then for me this is a gigantic, big, absolutely not. Director Gutkin, when he was here, said that they are not going to shove this down any community's throat. And I hope that he intends to keep his word on that if we respond to this and they come back and say, hey, we want to cite this in our community, and the community says, no, actually we don't want it. I hope that they will respect what they said when they were here. And I guess just a question for the Chief Executive, there's going to be some staff time involved with responding to this. Any idea what we're talking about? Is this 5 hours of staff person's time, or is this multiple days? What are we looking at?
Commissioner O'Leary, I haven't looked closely on what that staff time was. I can't imagine it's going to be more than probably about 5 hours of total staff time. That's a few people working on this, because we'll be pulling data just on the demographics of the local community and workforce and things like that. And so we'll just be working with community development and probably some of the planning staff that would work on this together. So that's how we would pull this together and answer the RFI. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Just a couple concerns that I have is this kind of could be political, I mean, in a sense, I guess. Unfortunately, in the nature of politics, Sheriff Gutkin can stand, or Department of Corrections head Gutkin can stand up here and tell us all he wants to get us to bite. That doesn't necessarily mean that he or the governor or whoever will follow through on the words that they share up here. My other concern is, and I think that Commissioner O'Neill was kind of alluding to this a little bit, is if we do respond, I guess I'm a little concerned that, and based on the feedback that I have received from the public, I guess I'm concerned that they will think that, hey, we're all for this. And I don't know if anybody else shares that same concern or if that's just me. I understand Commissioner Morgan's perspective of saying, hey, yeah, we're going to respond with the facts. I just am worried that any sort of response shows some type of interest. And if we're interested, I guess that's one thing, but I think that we really need to weigh kind of what we're going to do going forward. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I just want to respond to the tax thing. It's been brought up a few times. We got to stick to the facts. we get no taxes out of that property right now, so we got to quit throwing that kind of stuff out there. That's what makes the public turn negative on stuff when we're saying in comments that, you know, we got to show the whole picture when we're talking about this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I think with the response you gave me about answering the questions that are put forth with fact, I think that at this time I'm ready to make a motion to concur and place on file communication 2025-473.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file communication number 2025-4. I crossed it out. 473. 473. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I mean, just at that note, I mean, us answering these questions doesn't solidify whether they come here or not. If it was chosen to come here, it has nothing to do with us answering questions. Just a comment.
Commissioner O'Neill, the only thing it shows that we're giving them the information that they're requesting from the community. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. And I'd just like to add, you know, they're asking for information, you know, ignoring people that ask for information is not a good thing to do. I think, you know, they requested information, let's answer them the truth. If they decide, we'll pick up the next one. But I'm for you sending out the request for, you know, information form and seeing what comes back to us.
Okay.
Maybe we will get a response. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Just a quick response to that. Again, we asked for information. They ignored us. I don't have any problem with us giving them information, but the amount of information that has been shared between the Department of Corrections and Butte-Silver Bow has been limited, and I'm not a big fan of that particular way of interacting. So I agree with you. They should be communicating with us, but they're not.
Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Thank you, Commissioner Larry. I think by not responding, it shows an I don't care attitude, and I don't like that.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. All right. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I think that I don't care attitude is a lot of the issue that this body has, and a lot of the citizens in our community think is that all too often the government just decides, I don't care what you think, we're going to do it my way because for whatever reason we own the land in this case and we can do what we want with it. And I think that attitude is exactly what the prison, the Montana Department of Corrections has said to us. Granted, they came over here and said, hey, this is going to be great for your community. Of course they are. They looking to put something here. But then when we ask questions about it, they just turn a blind eye and they never respond to it. I agree. If I ask somebody a question, I expect an answer, or I'd at least like to, or I'll follow up to try to get that answer. I'm sure we followed up a few times to get the answers that we put forth with no response from them. I know that they said that they weren't going to put it in the community where it wasn't wanted. From my count, I've seen one email from a former commissioner here who thought it could be a good idea. I've received numerous phone calls from people walking down the grocery store aisles or talking with neighbors or family. None of them are in favor of this. I am not in favor of this. I think it could potentially have an awful lot of harm in our community if the prison was built here. We're starting to see a lot of good things happening in Butte, and I don't want to do anything that's going to arrest that development. I do agree that it would be a good idea to respond to this. I don't see any harm in responding to this technically, but I've always lived my life, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They have the personnel to answer all of these questions. And I personally, if I was given the choice of answering the questions from them, I would just send the questionnaire back to them blank with a "we're not interested" at the bottom of it. But that's my opinion. That's what I would do. So I will be voting no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Let's spin this a little bit and think of this approach. So being if this body didn't submit the letter, would they have just not asked for the RFI and maybe have just said we're going to Butte? By us submitting the letter, it showed that we were going to be responsive, we were going to be engaged in the process, and we didn't want them to just assume that we were going to sit back and let it happen. And so there's nothing that says that, yeah, maybe the RFI went out because of our letter, but there's also nothing that says because of our letter they didn't do the RFI. But you don't know the answer to that, right? And so just showing that we're engaged and we're willing to say, hey, we're not for this, or we have questions, it shows that we're a willing participant. I would be a little concerned that if we just say we're not going to respond, because to me we're taking it and we're basically taking our ball cap and we're covering our eyes like we used to in grade school and say, God, I hope the teacher doesn't see me. And hope that gets us by. At least this way we're providing them facts. Yes, they can probably get most of them themselves, but we're at least being part of the solution here rather than just covering up and hiding. But
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Any other comment? Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Just a quick ask. If this motion passes, I would just ask the executive branch to maybe send the responses to the commissioners, when they're ready,
Yeah.
just so that we're aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Leary. Commissioner Anderson.
On this request for information, was there any segment or part of it that had any section for comment or any of that matter?
Commissioner Anderson, I briefly looked through it, and and I'll be honest, I was in the mindset that they haven't been communicative with us. So I was really kind of, you're requesting of us when we've asked you to come back to speak to this body and things. And so I didn't look very deeply at the RFI, but I understand everybody's comments in here, and I don't disagree with what anybody says in here. To me, the things that stood out are when they came, they spoke, and then they have left a lot of unanswered questions in our community, and then they turn around and say, now you need to answer our questions. That I had a hard time with that, and so I didn't look that close at that, so I don't have a great answer for you. Follow-up, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. I understand where this could be very beneficial to answer these questions. What I would do, and I will make this in a form of a motion, is to answer the request for information, but I would also ask you to include a letter to that saying that, yes, we will answer these questions, here they are, and just state some of our concerns, especially those of Sheriff Lester and those of the commissioners up here, saying that we would appreciate if our questions to you were also answered, and that letter with some of the concerns of the community with that. So if that could be included in the...
Commissioner Anderson, could I, instead of trying to phrase a bunch of questions, could I ask them to respond to the questions that were sent to them by this body already?
Absolutely.
Would that be acceptable to this body? I think, because I think within the letter that was sent to them, that this body kind of agreed on that letter, and that would be taken. Otherwise, we'd have to kind of round table of what those questions would be.
No, that would be perfectly all right. So I guess I would modify my motion to go ahead and answer the RFI, but include a letter of saying, hey, we understand you had questions for us. We submitted these questions. Could you please answer them for our body?
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. The only thing that I'm unaware of is if the submittal of this allows an attachment to be attached. Because when I looked at it, it was a question and an answer block. So I don't think there was an attachment section to it. So I think you would have to include that in the actual random text box, because it's all online. It's not a, it's not a formal submittal thing other than their website, from what I remember.
That's correct. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioner Anderson, to your point, I guess, could we resend the letter before we make the submittal and go that route instead, and then see if we get an answer? I mean, to me, I understand where Commissioner Morgan's coming from, and that's probably the direction I'll head to on this specific communication, but I guess to appease Commissioner Anderson, if there isn't an attachment, is it something that, hey, we'll take a whack at it again and then see if they respond or no?
I guess to answer that question, what I would do if I was in the chief executive shoes on the very first question, I'd say, hey, I sent you a letter with these answers.
Commissioner Anderson, that was sent from this body, so this body would need to send that. That didn't come from the chief executive. The commissioners drafted a letter that was sent. Commissioner Anderson.
No, I'm just referring to how I would respond to that questionnaire. I understand it's all online, so I would just put on the first question, I have sent all these answers in a letter and communication via snail mail. Please check it out.
Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. This question is probably to Commissioner Morgan or O'Leary, since you guys are kind of reviewing the RFI. Did they, and I know it would be paid for by them, but is one of the questions about, you know, like infrastructure improvements that we will greatly need out there? Is that any of the information that they're questioning? Because we will need that out there too.
Commissioner Thatcher, who would like to answer that? Commissioner Morgan. I believe that it is. It's asking what kind of infrastructure we have there available by the site. It does have those questions in there. Yeah. So those are, so what we could do, and is resend the letter from the council ahead of it, but also we would respond. If this body chooses, we'll just respond and send that again. And then I think, you know, at one point or another, they're going to have to get back in front of this body and answer to you guys. So, Commissioner Fisher.
Point of order, the motion on the floor failed due to lack of second.
The motion failed. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. You know, the communication calls to request information. You know, we're stirring up a bunch of stuff here that don't even matter. I mean, you know, people moving here and that. Let's just vote if we want to send out the letter or not. I mean, it's a simple question. Let's not create a monster out of this thing. We either want to send the letter or we don't. Simple as that.
Okay. Okay. Any more comments by commissioners? Seeing none, could commissioners please vote? This is to concur and place on file responding to the RFI. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
8 yea, 2 nay.
8 yea, 2 nay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 5, communication number 2025-475, David Gary, Community Enrichment Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign the vendor invoice and accept fiscal year 2026 junk motor vehicle graveyard grant in the amount of $70,333. Commissioner Healy.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Actually, I just want to thank you for all you're doing There's a lot of positive feedback out there, and I myself, if I had more money, I'd give you more money, because there are things that are changing, and I appreciate you taking walks with me and teaching me about the process, because then that helps me explain to constituents about the process without having to have them go necessarily through you. For example, you know, Wall Street has had a problem with drug addicts, and then they send me pictures of all these cars. So I went and looked at them myself and saw that they had permanent stickers on there. The tires were inflated, so they were not junk vehicles. So then I didn't have to, you know, communicate to you that, you know, there's 5 junk vehicles when they were not 5 junk vehicles. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you and all you're doing. And if I had more money, I'd give you more money.
Thank you, Commissioner Healy. Director Gary, do you want to respond to that?
I guess I would just say thank you.
Yeah.
We're working hard at it, so.
Thanks. Commissioner Morgan, did you have a comment?
Commissioner Healy, did you want to make a motion?
Make a
or
motion then.
Did you?
I'd like to make a motion to concur and place this on file.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file communication number 2025-475. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to Section 3, ordinances resolution for final reading. We have 2. First one is resolution number 2025-58. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
A resolution authorizing the city and county of Butte-Silver to apply for the Land and Water Conservation Fund financial assistance from the National Park Service through Montana's Fish and Wildlife Parks Department for replacement of playground equipment at Clark's Park.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2025-58 on final reading and pass, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2025-58 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Commissioner Anderson, yours didn't go.
Oh, sorry.
And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 2, Council Bill number 2025-03 and ordinance number 2025-03. Clerk, please read the caption.
A ordinance amending Chapter 2.62 of Butte-Silver Municipal Code B-SBMC entitled Advisory Committee for Americans with Disability Act, specifically amending Section 2.62.040 and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill 2025-03, ordinance number 2025-03 on final reading and pass, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2025-03, ordinance number 2025-03 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to Section 4, ordinances resolution for emergency suspension of the rules. We have 4 of them. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing Council Bill Ordinance number, Resolution number 2025-59, Resolution 2025-60, Resolution 2025-61, and Resolution 25-62 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee. The reason for the suspension of the rules on this is just to get these districts established and/or funds established so that they are able to be added to the November tax bills that will be sent out here shortly.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for resolution number 2025-59, resolution number 2025-60, 2025-61, and 2025-62. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to resolution number 2025-59. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution leveling special assessments to pay for the cost of lighting within the special improvement district and numbering by this resolution within the city, county of Butte-Silver, state of Montana for fiscal year 2026 and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2025-59 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2025-59 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to item number 2, resolution number 2025-60. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution estimating as near as possible the cost of maintaining special improvement districts number 401 and number 402 for the purpose of fire hydrant rental within the city, county of Butte-Silver, state of Montana for the fiscal year 2026 and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2025-60 on final reading, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2025-60 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, resolution number 2025-61. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution to alter the boundaries of the city, county of Butte-Silver, state of Montana solid waste special district for the solid waste collection to include the boundaries of the Homestead Meadows 2 subdivision and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2025-61 on final reading and pass, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2025-61 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 4, resolution number 2025-62. Commissioner Morgan. Oh, I'm sorry. Clerk, please read the caption. Getting ahead of myself.
A resolution establishing the assessment for fiscal year 2026 on the properties included in the Special Tourism Business Improvement District Number 1 for the purpose of promoting tourism, conventions, trade shows, and travel to the city, county of Butte-Silver, designating and describing the boundaries of said Special Tourism Business Improvement District and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Resolution 2025-62 on final reading and pass, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing resolution number 2025-62 on final reading. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yeas, 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to calendar and other meeting events, please note the dates and times of those meetings. Next, we'll move on to any public comment on any item on tonight's that is not on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.